Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving prime minister, finds himself in a familiar position, walking a political tightrope. His tenure has been marked by numerous challenges, but the current situation is particularly precarious. His current term, marked by escalating conflict with Hamas and a divided public, presents a complex dilemma. The streets of Israel are filled with protests, reflecting a nation torn between support and opposition to his policies. Netanyahu must balance his political survival with the security of Israel, facing pressure from both domestic and international actors. The military is on high alert, and political rallies are a common sight, as international leaders watch closely. The recent hostage exchange with Hamas, while celebrated by some, has ignited fierce debate about its long-term implications. Critics argue that it may embolden Hamas, while supporters see it as a necessary step for peace. Meanwhile, the ongoing military campaign in Gaza deepens the humanitarian crisis, drawing condemnation from human rights groups and world leaders. The images of destruction and suffering are a stark reminder of the conflict's toll on civilians. The decisions Netanyahu makes in the coming weeks will have profound consequences, shaping not only his political future, but also the lives of millions in the region. Every move is scrutinized, every decision debated in the halls of the Israeli parliament. He must navigate a treacherous path, seeking to secure Israel's borders while grappling with the human cost of conflict. The security of the nation is paramount, but the price paid by civilians cannot be ignored. The world watches, holding its breath, as the fate of the Middle East hangs in the balance. International news outlets broadcast every development, and people around the globe are keenly aware of the stakes involved. The recent hostage exchange with Hamas has brought both relief and unease to Israel. The nation watched with bated breath as the negotiations unfolded, each moment fraught with tension and hope. The sight of Israeli captives returning home, embraced by tearful families, ignited a wave of national joy. These emotional reunions were broadcast across the country, bringing a sense of collective relief and happiness. Yet, the deal itself, involving the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, has sparked controversy. Many Israelis are torn, feeling the weight of the sacrifices made for the return of their loved ones. Critics argue that it sets a dangerous precedent, rewarding Hamas for its tactics of terror and jeopardizing the safety of Israeli citizens. They fear that such exchanges may encourage further kidnappings and violence. The exchange lays bare the agonizing choices facing Israeli leadership. Balancing the immediate need to save lives with the long-term implications for national security is a delicate and painful task. The public, understandably desperate for the safe return of their loved ones, exerts immense pressure on the government to secure their release. This emotional burden weighs heavily on the decision-makers, yet such deals come at a steep price, potentially emboldening Hamas and fueling the cycle of violence. The fear is that each concession may lead to more demands and further instability in the region. The dilemma cuts to the core of Israel's identity, forcing a reckoning with the value placed on human life and the compromises deemed acceptable in the name of security. It is a profound and ongoing struggle reflecting the complex reality of life in a region marked by conflict and hope. In the wake of the hostage exchange, Netanyahu authorized an intensified military campaign against Hamas in Gaza. The operation, aimed at crippling the group's infrastructure and deterring future attacks, has resulted in a devastating escalation of violence. The relentless airstrikes and ground incursions have inflicted heavy casualties, with civilian lives tragically caught in the crossfire. The international community has reacted with a mixture of condemnation and concern. Human rights organizations have accused Israel of using disproportionate force, while world leaders have called for an immediate ceasefire. The United States, a steadfast ally of Israel, has found itself in a difficult position, balancing its support for Israel's right to self-defense with growing unease over the mounting civilian death toll. The Gaza Strip, already grappling with poverty and overcrowding, is now facing a full-blown humanitarian crisis. The relentless bombardment has left large swaths of the territory in ruins, with homes, hospitals, and schools reduced to rubble. The civilian population is struggling to survive amidst the wreckage, facing shortages of food, water, and medical supplies. The United Nations has warned of a looming catastrophe, with aid agencies struggling to deliver essential services to those in need. The situation is particularly dire for children, who make up a significant portion of the displaced population. the trauma inflicted by the conflict will have lasting consequences, casting a long shadow over the future of Gaza. The specter of former United States President Donald Trump looms large over the current crisis. Trump, who enjoyed a close relationship with Netanyahu, offered unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself, often shielding it from international criticism. His administration's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital and move the U.S. embassy there further inflamed tensions in the region. While Trump's policies were welcomed by some in Israel, they also emboldened hardliners and undermined efforts to restart the peace process. His departure from office has left a void in American leadership on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, leaving the Biden administration to navigate a complex and volatile situation. Section 6. Dissenting voices, domestic opposition mounts. Within Israel, Netanyahu's handling of the crisis has drawn criticism from both the left and the right. Opponents of the government have accused Netanyahu of prioritizing his own political survival over the well-being of Israeli citizens. They argue that his policies have only served to exacerbate tensions with Hamas and undermine the prospects for peace. Meanwhile, some on the right have criticized Netanyahu for not going far enough in his military campaign against Hamas. They argue that only a decisive military victory can guarantee the safety of Israeli citizens and deter future attacks. The divisions within Israeli society reflect the deep-seated complexities of the conflict and the challenges facing any leader who seeks to resolve it. Section 7. The Long Shadow of Conflict, a Legacy at Stake. Netanyahu's legacy as Israel's longest-serving prime minister will be forever intertwined with the ongoing conflict with the Palestinians. His tenure has seen numerous military operations, peace talks, and international negotiations, each leaving a significant mark on the region's history. His supporters credit him with keeping Israel safe in a dangerous neighborhood and securing its international standing. They argue that his strong stance on security has deterred many potential threats and has been crucial in maintaining Israel's sovereignty. However, his critics argue that his policies have only served to prolong the conflict and make a two-state solution increasingly elusive. They believe that his approach has exacerbated tensions and led to further division and violence. The current crisis will undoubtedly shape how history remembers Netanyahu. The decisions he makes now could either pave the way for a new era of peace or plunge the region into deeper turmoil. If he is able to secure a lasting ceasefire and find a path to peace, he will be celebrated as a statesman of historic proportions. Such an achievement would not only redefine his legacy, but also bring hope to millions who have longed for peace. However, if the conflict continues to escalate, he risks being remembered as the leader who missed an opportunity for peace and left behind a legacy of violence and instability. The stakes have never been higher, and the world watches closely as Netanyahu navigates this critical juncture in history. Section 8. The Road Ahead, Navigating a Precarious Future. As the dust settles from the latest round of fighting, both Israelis and Palestinians face an uncertain future. The path forward is fraught with obstacles, with no easy solutions in sight. The international community has a crucial role to play in facilitating dialogue, providing humanitarian assistance, and working towards a just and lasting peace. A sustainable peace will require both sides to make difficult compromises and confront painful truths. It will require leadership, courage, and a shared commitment to building a future where both Israelis and Palestinians can live in security and dignity. Section 9. A Land Divided, the Quest for Lasting Peace. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the most intractable conflicts of our time. For decades, the two sides have been locked in a cycle of violence and mistrust, with countless lives lost and dreams shattered. The roots of the conflict run deep, encompassing issues of land, identity, and security. Finding a lasting solution will require addressing the underlying causes of the conflict, not just its symptoms. It will require building bridges of understanding and empathy, recognizing the humanity of the other, and embracing a shared future based on peace, justice, and reconciliation. Only then can the land that both Israelis and Palestinians call home truly know peace.